Hey there, mathematicians! It's Justin again. Welcome back for another lesson about fractions. After all that talk about pizza in the last lesson, my friend Jordan and I decided to order some pizzas for lunch. I ate 5/8 of my pizza, and Jordan ate 2/3 of hers. We're trying to figure out how much total pizza is left, but we're not sure where to start. Maybe you can help us. Pause here and take a moment to jot down your thoughts about how we might determine how much pizza is left. It seems like there's going to be some subtraction and addition needed here. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to find a common denominator of unlike fractions, add and subtract unlike fractions, and simplify fractions. Let's serve up some solutions for this pizza problem. I ate 5/8 of my pizza, and Jordan ate 2/3 of hers. We want to know how much total pizza is left. Before we can add up the total pizza, we first need to figure out how much is left from each of our pizzas. Let's start with mine. I started with a whole pizza, so we can represent that with 1. Then I ate 5/8 of it. To calculate how much is left, we need to subtract. Wait a minute. How do we subtract a fraction from a whole number? Of course, I can change 1 into a fraction of 1. A fraction of 1 is any fraction in which the numerator and denominator are the same, like 1/1, 2/2, 12/12, or even 1,423 over 1,423. Remember, the numerator represents how many parts we have, and the denominator represents how many equal parts the whole is divided into. So if the numerator and denominator are the same, then we have all of the parts, or one whole. So let's change the whole number 1 into a fraction of 1. How about 2/2? Well, I still can't subtract these yet. In order to add and subtract fractions, they need to have a common or same denominator. In that case, why don't we use 8/8 as our fraction of 1 instead? Now we can subtract. Remember, the numerator of a fraction represents how many parts of the whole we have, so when working with fractions, we add and subtract the numerators. We leave the denominators alone because the denominator represents how many equal parts the whole is divided into, which doesn't change while adding and subtracting. 8/8 minus 5/8 equals 3/8. I have 3/8 of my pizza left. And this fraction is already simplified. Nice. Now what about Jordan's pizza? Jordan ate 2/3 of her pizza. Pause here to use a fraction of 1 to determine how much pizza Jordan has left. Because 2/3 has a denominator of 3, we'll use 3/3 as our fraction of 1. 3/3 minus 2/3 equals 1/3. If Jordan has 1/3 of her pizza remaining, and I have 3/8 remaining, we can determine the total pizza left by adding these together. These fractions need to have a common denominator before we can add them. The common denominator of 2 or more fractions is a common multiple of those denominators. So to find the common denominator of 1/3 and 3/8, we need to find the least common multiple, or LCM, of 3 and 8. Based on the multiples of 3 and the multiples of 8, the LCM of 3 and 8 is 24. To change 1/3 into a fraction with a denominator of 24, we can multiply the top and bottom of the fraction by 8. Because 3 times 8 equals 24, and whatever we do to one part of the fraction, we also need to do to the other. Then we'll need to multiply the top and bottom of 3/8 by 3, because 8 times 3 gives us 24, and 3 times 3 gives us 9. This makes our new equation 8/24 plus 9/24. 8/24 plus 9/24 equals 17/24. Between both of our leftovers, we have 17/24 of a pizza left. That is more than enough for an afternoon snack. Let's try some practice problems. Remember, when adding and subtracting fractions, the first thing we should do is check for common denominators. If the denominators are different, then we can find a common denominator by finding the LCM. This allows us to add or subtract, and finally, if need be, we can rewrite the answer in its simplest form. Pause here while you solve the problem 2/6 plus 1/9. To solve 2/6 plus 1/9, first find a common denominator. Based on the multiples of 6 and 9, their LCM is 18. So a common denominator of these fractions is 18. Multiplying 6 times 3 will give us the common denominator of 18, and whatever we do to the bottom, we must also do to the top. Then we'll multiply the numerator and denominator of 1/9 by 2, because 9 times 2 gives us that common denominator of 18. Now that our fractions have common denominators, we can add them together. 6/18 plus 2/18 equals 8/18. But we aren't done yet. Notice how the numerator and denominator are both even numbers? This is generally a good clue that simplifying is required. Remember, to simplify a fraction, we divide the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor. Based on the factors of 8 and 18, their GCF is 2. So we'll divide the top and bottom of this fraction by 2 to get our answer in simplest form, 4/9. Now let's try some subtraction. Pause here and solve 9/15 minus 6/20. Based on the multiples of 15 and 20, their LCM is 60. So 60 is a common denominator of these fractions. We can multiply the top and bottom of 9/15 by 4, because 15 times 4 gives us 60. And we can multiply the top and bottom of 6/20 by 3, because 20 times 3 gives us 60. Now we can subtract. 36 over 60 minus 18 over 60 equals 18 over 60. To simplify our answer, we need to divide the numerator and the denominator by their GCF. Based on the factors of 18 and 60, their GCF is 6. So, after simplifying, our final answer is 3/10. Awesome work! Thanks to your hard work today, you learned how to check for common denominators when adding and subtracting fractions, use the LCM to find common denominators, and use the GCF to simplify fractions. This lesson helped us review several of the fraction skills that we'll be using in our future lessons. Check out Mia's helpful reference sheet in the PDF that accompanies this lesson for a more in-depth explanation of adding and subtracting fractions. Be sure to complete the practice questions and extension activities to help you prepare for our upcoming lessons. Keep crunching those numbers, mathematicians, and I'll see you next time.